Thank you. Okay, so calling our Monday, November 4th Economic Development meeting to order. We have a quorum here, so thought we would get to the agenda item. We want to try to keep the pace going just so we're out of here at a good time. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes from the last meeting?
Yeah.
Any issues, or can we approve them?
No
Yeah,
issues.
there were really no,
No.
okay, so I'm going to sign this and forward it over to town. Okay, the next item was the status of our current participants. Since our last meeting, let's see, John Carlin has resigned. So we are now have 8 positions. So Helene, Eric, Lisa Miller, Heather Hughes, Mike Murphy, Bharat Nair, Dave Pettit, and Bruce Slater. So we should decide whether we want to actively recruit another person, which that will bring us back to 9. At 8, our quorum is still 5, so it doesn't do us any difference between 5 and 9. Is that right?
I'm not sure if it's 50% or not. It might be 4.
Might be 4, so I should
I'm not
check on
sure.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll check on that. If it's 8, then maybe we should go back to the Board of Selectmen and request to go down to 8, unless it feels that we should try to recruit to bring us back to 9.
Should at least maybe advertise for a month or 2.
And see how it goes.
As long as we're meeting quorum.
Well, and I think we're gonna need folks in the future, so let's
Yeah.
begin that discussion now.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll leave at 9 and see if we can get the position filled. Okay. Good item. Okay. The next is the BOS, the Board of Selectmen, that Eric, Lisa, and myself went to. They liked our positive mission of promoting Bolton businesses while creating excitement to fill the vacant spaces. Talked about ribbon cutting ceremony, articles, social media, events, potentially become the Neshoba Valley Chamber of Commerce, and letters out to businesses. I have since met with Melissa Federhoff, the Neshoba Valley Chamber of Commerce. I'm just going to sidetrack just to talk about that. It went very well. I don't think that the EDC needs to be a member of the Chamber of Commerce because she definitely wants to help Bolton out. We can throw anything her way, i.e. Announcements of events. If we see businesses that need promoting, they will certainly help us out. They also, we had talked about having an event, maybe bringing in businesses, maybe at Delta, we talked about that. They would be willing to come and speak on something. So we could advertise it as, trying to get Bolton businesses together, as well as the Chamber of Commerce talking about anything from social media to, how to market, advertise. So it sounds like they would not charge us for that. However, they would encourage individual businesses to become part of their chamber. They talked about that Wachusett used to be the reigning Chamber of Commerce, and then they went under, and the Neshoba Valley Chamber of Commerce took in some of the members if you wanted to go. So I think it's based upon somewhere between $200 and about $500 a year for businesses to be a member. I think it's worth it for businesses to think about joining. They really do a lot of marketing and help for businesses. So I thought it would be interesting to bring them in and at least have them have a chance to talk to businesses about what they could actually do for them.
Yeah, and I think those kind of super regional chambers seem to do I'm not gonna say better job, but they seem to be better attended,
Mm-hmm.
like the Quarter Nine and the Metro West, the two that we belong to, and I think we belong to this one as well. When you go to those events, there's a number of people there, so I think it gives you that greater opportunity to network. So I don't think it's a bad idea at all.
They've picked up a ton of towns from picking up Wachusett, and it'd be very interesting. So you can go out there if you want, or they'll come here and do a rah-rah. So I think we should, when we had talked about an event, try to bring in a speaker, that might be a really good
I think
thing.
it's a great idea. I think
I don't think the EDC has to be a member, so when we talk about budget items, I don't foresee us being up, because we can have a good relationship with
Sure.
her. We're already going to try to get the planning, the resume, or not the resume, the job, the request for a job. We're going to send that to the chamber and see if they can help get more candidates. That's on a later note. I'll discuss where they are, where the town is on interviewing for a planner.
You're saying that going through their network to find the town planner?
They will help the town on any open position. We can send, any town position, you can send to the chamber and they will help advertise. They have about 2,000 emails. They have a Facebook page. They have Twitter. So they're willing to help. We just have to know that they're there. And so I'm on her mailing list, and she said anything that comes along, just shoot it out to them.
Mhm.
She had mentioned she had talked to you, Bruce. I would like to get businesses to at least know what they're about.
sure.
There's no commitment on anyone's part, but I think they could really do a good job to help Bolton promote. And they also do ribbon cutting ceremonies. So I told them about what we have done on ribbon cutting ceremonies, and she said anything that they could do to help out, even promote it. And then they do a good job. They have a whole page in their pamphlet of pictures after the ribbon cutting ceremony, which tended to be a little thing that we needed to work on, was the publicity after the fact. So I think they're going to be a real good resource for us, and we don't have to be a member.
They may be more interested in the bigger companies versus the smaller companies.
I
I
think
don't think so. I think that they're open to both large
Yeah.
and small.
Yes.
Because I know the Quarter Nine has large, like Staples and
Mhm.
one-person consulting firms.
exactly.
They're just interested in having members.
And their membership dues are based upon the number of employees you
Absolutely.
have.
Mhm. Yeah.
So the bigger company you are, you pay more,
Yeah,
but
it's a per
it's really
person.
not that much.
No.
And then there's a lot of benefits you get for being a member. Chamber's really actively marketing, like that's her goal. So I think she could really, I think if people understood what they did, you might be really interested in being a member.
Sure.
Okay, the next thing, Lisa's not here, but the BOS approved our Adopt a Pole wreath project. Let me tell you a little bit about what it is and what it's morphing into. Lisa came up with the idea, wouldn't it be nice around the holiday times to have wreaths decorated through our town? And that it would be a business-sponsored event. They liked the idea. Let's see, Mike has been helping us. We are trying to understand how we're going to hang the wreaths. Mike is working with the DPW to try to get them on board, and
Well,
sounds.
they're definitely on board.
Or
They've
to do
agreed to
that.
help us.
And I think that we will probably have a few businesses sponsor the bill. Let's see, the things that we're still working on, Verizon has to officially approve it, and Lisa and Don are working on that to get Verizon's approval. And what is the exact date that we worked on?
So the DPW would, I believe they're gonna be taking the flags down on the 18th. But we thought that might be a little early because this is a holiday themed event. So they're willing to be flexible. I mean, I think ideally they'd like to do it at the same time, but they also acknowledge the fact that it might be a little early, so they're willing to definitely be flexible.
And would they be willing to be more flexible than the 25th?
We can ask.
Yeah.
They were open to any date at this point, but obviously we have to ask and make sure that they have crews available
Right.
to do it.
So somewhere the earliest would be November 25th, which would be the Monday before Thanksgiving. Ideally, it would be optimal to do it after Thanksgiving, but we definitely have to get the approval from Verizon. But it looks like we're going to get that. They just have to dot the i's and cross the t's. So that's where we stand on that. I think it's somewhere between 50 and 100 wreaths.
Do you know what size you're looking at?
I think Lisa said 18 inches.
18 inch?
18.
She got any she wants to go, or?
She had, so the concept has morphed a little bit. Originally, we were going to have individual people be able to buy them.
Mhm.
So she had been working with Bolton Orchards to actually utilize their cash registers and stuff like that. But as it looks like we'll probably be moving it in, we're thinking we don't want to do onesie twosie. We'd rather just have a few businesses sponsor the bulk of it. So we'd actually be purchasing it behind the scenes versus at a cash register.
You mean the wreaths?
Yes.
Well, I still have connections in the green industry, so a couple places come to mind about buying them wholesale.
I think she was talking, we can talk about the details,
Okay.
but I think the cost is somewhere between $15 and $20 a wreath.
Mm-hmm.
Probably as low as 15. I don't know what she originally, I don't know what the exact cost. I think it was as low as 15.
18-inch, okay.
Yeah. And
No
we don't,
bows?
excuse me?
No bows?
With bows.
With bows.
weather-resistant bows. And she needed to spec out the exact, the number of turns the bows would have.
Mhm, mhm.
So she needed to spec out, if she was here, she could be a little bit more detailed.
Okay.
But, yeah, I mean, if you can
That's
get.
a good size wreath, size
They'll
wreath.
be 18 inches and they'll be hung 6 feet off the ground. And the promotion, originally we were thinking about having a plaque attached to each bow, but instead I think we're just going to do a major publicity thing,
Mhm.
Thanks to Murphy Insurance, let's just say, or
Sounds good.
Slinger's.
Hypothetically speaking.
It's just random, pick out of the top of my mind,
If you wanted
businesses.
to, yeah,
But
yes.
I think it's a great idea.
But
I think so.
Lisa's had a lot of success in Boston, right?
In Charlestown, yeah.
And I think it just creates that spirit of the holidays that we talked
Mhm.
about, where now you get the entire community behind
Yes.
something.
And sponsored by the business community. So I think
Right.
that would be good. Now, she can fill us in if she comes a little bit later or more details if I've missed something.
Right. I think the challenge, and I think we talked about this briefly, is going back to the banner, getting in front of enough businesses, because obviously if they're not included,
Yeah.
people are offended. We saw that with the banner, and it wasn't the anybody,
Yes.
it's just the timing of it. And so we have to try to be thoughtful about the timing of this again, to get enough people, to give them an opportunity to say yes
To
or no.
participate.
Exactly.
I think maybe what we could do is utilize the list that Eric has.
Yeah, I mean, so,
Yeah,
I'm not sure we'll be at a state where we can send out a mass email or anything, but.
yeah, but maybe if we split up the list,
Mhm.
and 5 people,
Yeah.
if we have, at least call 45 people.
Yeah.
I mean, we have 30 on the banner today.
Yeah.
And how many businesses did we determine are in Bolton? Quite a few.
Well, I mean, there's like over 150,
Okay.
but a lot of them are probably one person in a
Right.
house.
But nonetheless, they may want an opportunity to
Yeah.
Yeah.
participate.
So yeah, I was gonna talk more about that on the next
Yeah.
agenda, but.
Okay, so we'll definitely, over the next week, we're definitely going to, our details are going to be more hammered out. We talked about the 2014-15 budget, that we would start putting it together. I think the budget has to be submitted into Don. I saw the email. It's of December that we have to have. We don't have to be part of the chamber, so we can get that amount. But you had mentioned, Eric, maybe a mailing budget. So so we should think about, how much that would be. But I'm thinking, $500, even just to start with the first year. Because I'm thinking when I purchased the scissors, I purchased the banner, several $100s, so it's never been 1,000,
Yeah.
but, maybe just to put in the first year, to see what the mailing would be.
Yeah, I mean, I guess get what we could get, because
Yeah.
I know Lisa could probably spend it fairly well trying to get more eyes to the, social media
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I mean, just because we got it didn't mean we'd have to spend it all.
Mhm.
So I don't know, maybe we have, I mean, they would want, we couldn't just go there asking for whatever, $1,000, we'd have to line item it probably, so.
Well, I would
Yeah.
like to, I would like to line item it.
Yeah.
I don't want to go in saying we need
Yeah.
$1,000 and,
Mhm.
I
We
would
may
like to
use
be
it
a
for
little bit
this
more
or that.
thoughtful.
Yeah. Yeah, postal, I think would be good, and
Mhm.
I don't know.
Okay. And then the EDC banner, which we marched with in the 275th parade, has been displayed.
Hmm.
I would like
Yes.
to work with Linda Day to maybe.
Oh, is it down there?
Yeah,
mhm.
they did it in a show.
Yeah.
I usually come.
Featured fairly prominent next to the banner that celebrates the 275th.
I very rarely go that way. I always come
Well,
through
that's the
Harvard.
biggest challenge, right? If you're going
Yeah.
west, just
Yes.
from the east, you can't.
Thanks to the DPW for making a great effort to put the banner. I wish it were a little bit back further so you could actually see it a little bit better. Instead, you don't have, right now you have to be right on top of it to see it. I wish it was a little bit further back, but maybe I should just count my blessings that it was put up this year.
So you're saying it's too close to the road?
I think it's too close to the first banner. So the town, if you're coming from 495, you see the town banner, and right behind it, a little bit jutting out to the left, is the EDC banner.
I'm
It's
sure we
a
can
little
move.
bit hard.
Yeah, moving it's not a
I'm
problem.
sure
It's
it's
just
just
a
like
couple of
pick it up and
Yeah.
bring a hammer and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna follow up with Linda Day. I didn't, I don't want anyone to think that I don't think they did a valiant
Sure.
effort of
Understand.
hanging the banner. But I think it needs to be pushed back a little bit, just so you can see it a little bit better.
It's cool
But
that it's up
thank you to
there.
the town for doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just reviewed the BOS, the Adopt-A-Poll, Eric, and the business list.
Yeah, so there's two lists that, there's one from the town that is business certificates, which isn't necessarily all businesses and not a lot of businesses. It's kind of, I didn't get her exact explanation, but it's kind of an optional thing, and you take it out for certain tax incentives or something to get this business certificate. So I have that one list with about, 100, 150 people. The one cool thing about that list is when the certificate was initially taken out. So there's some that go all the way back to like 1968 or 19. So on a side note, I was thinking we should maybe look at some of these ones that have been there.
Sure, and
For-
celebrate the fact that they've been.
Yeah, like if we can have an article with like 2 or 3 of these ones that have been in
That's a great
town for
idea.
40 or 50 years, 40 or 50 years, and
I
kind
think it's a
of,
great idea, celebrate their longevity.
yeah, and how, all the typical, how's Bolton treated you, how have you liked
Right.
being Bolton type thing.
Absolutely.
So that's the one interesting that came out of the list. But then there's another list that's tax-based. You pay taxes. And that list is actually kind of weird because there's a lot of stuff where, like Verizon Wireless, like
Right.
they're not necessarily in Bolton, but they have equipment in Bolton. So it's like, so I need to strip things out of that. It's not necessarily a business that's in Bolton, even though they have equipment in Bolton. But that's like 170, and some overlap, some don't, and some businesses like Paragon and stuff isn't even on any of them. So I don't know if maybe the tax one just hasn't been there long enough to come through.
Yes, that was like, when we received that list, that was in May, and that was from the year before.
Yeah. So anyway, so I kind of need to like combine, take the duplicates out, and then get the newer businesses in there. But so I started working with the Facebook page and putting some stuff on there. But what we need is multiple times it's come up where we want to send out an email to everybody, or like even right now talking about
Right.
the wreaths, like how do we contact these businesses? We just need to, everybody break it up, and because all there is an address on these lists. It's no phone number, no email, no website. So if we could go through each one over the next few months or whatever, maybe accelerated, but you know, I could send out maybe 10 names to everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them might be one person not active in a business, some of them, you know, something like that. So just go through the list, get a phone number, email, Facebook page if they have it, website, any, you know, and we need to create a EDC list. So we just need to create an EDC list of all these businesses. And so whenever something like this comes up, we have this list. It's
Right.
probably gonna take a few months to go through them all and get all the information. Some people won't wanna give the information or whatever, but, you know, we'll have it. And then whoever talks to them, you know, just kinda say the EDC can help with this and that, whatever. So, yeah, so that's the list.
I have a question. So how do we do, so for example, the Roadhouse, which is a restaurant that's been there but under new ownership, and I was gonna just pop in today and just say, hey, you know, I'm part of the EDC, you know, should we do an ambassador program? Should we have a program in which if we're, you know, if Bruce opens another business,
Yeah.
we pop over, other than the ribbon cutting, just to say, hey, what's
Yeah.
going on?
That was
and how can we
definitely-
help?
On going through this list is to kind of be ambassadors, you know, to go there
Right.
and get their info, and because it's going to be Fontini's, I think is what it's going to be called.
Right, right, right.
But like, I also started putting in this Excel sheet, a column of like about or notes, just, you know, what do they do, how, you know, where do they fit Bolton, what type of thing. So when we're building the website, when we can add, you know, break up this list into categories, and, you know, so somebody can have a pull down menu on the website, you know, Bolton printing or Bolton
Right.
landscaping or something. So any business that's based in Bolton. So just a way of getting this list, all the contacts, categorize it, and so we can easily send out an email to XY business saying, hey, we're doing this wreath project, or, you know, or if somebody wants to go to the website and say, I'm looking for somebody who does landscaping in Bolton, you know, or bigger projects or smaller projects, you could, you know, some type of pull down menu. I think we just need to get a hold of what's in Bolton, really.
Eric, would Fontini's have come up as, they have received a new business letter?
Well, they should. I haven't sent
Right.
any out yet, but they did take out a business certificate.
Okay, so given, if they were in, if we had the process up and running,
Yeah,
Fontini's would like show up as a new business.
right,
Oh, by the way, each new business is gonna get a letter,
yeah.
you know, like a welcome to
Yeah, yeah.
Bolton business. So in theory, that's what should happen.
That's what will happen once we get this thing
Yeah.
rolling.
Do you wanna go over and say hello to them?
Sure. I was gonna stop in today, I just didn't have time.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
just think it's important that if you send
yeah, it's a
any
great
business,
idea.
just to
So, I mean,
welcome to the area.
yeah, so I can, whatever. I was gonna go through the list and assign everybody a group, but whatever. I mean, if you wanna go there, go
Sure.
there. And then just report back.
I
and
guess
I'll-
my question was, do we have something formal in place, you know?
I mean, I have a letter, a formal letter of welcome to Bolton.
Sure.
We haven't implemented it yet, though.
Yeah.
Right.
But we approved the letter, though.
Yeah, it's approved, like you said, and that's because we did this letter, I'm like, okay, now what? And this is like huge list of just, you know, I don't know what, you know, so we just have to go through and build up our database.
Right.
So why don't
Kinda.
we could use Fontini's as almost a pilot of, you know, new, you know, we could send Mike with like the letter, you know, shaking of the hand, and just a welcome message to both.
And we could celebrate anniversaries. You talked about the business
Yeah.
certificates for people. I mean,
Yeah,
you know, Bruce has been here for 10 years
Yeah.
or 15 or
that would
20
be great,
or
yeah, an
25 or
anniversary
whatever.
letter, or 5 years,
Exactly.
5 years, 10 years, or whatever.
You know, just kind of a thank you for
But-
being part of the community.
But really, we just need to create a detailed database
Right.
and put all those points of information so we can almost eventually make it automatic, you know?
Right.
Mhm.
Right, exactly. That's
Yeah.
what we want to do is make it automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that ambassador program.
So, I mean, so yeah, like, we're talking about a lot of new businesses and filling up space, but this is sort of like our, you know, our Neshoba Valley, our commerce,
Yes.
Chamber of Commerce.
Mhm.
Well, it's the retention
Yeah.
piece.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'm sure that, well, so it's kind of the smaller group you get, the more focused you can be. The Neshoba Valley Chamber of Commerce isn't going to be able to do what we're just talking about, you know? So, I mean, what I was saying to Mike is like, the business certificates they have when they've taken them out. So saw that somewhere from like 1970, And so we should maybe, I was thinking about making an article trying to contact some of these people and saying, why have you been in town for 40 years, that type of stuff. But it kind of goes along with categorizing, and you said your anniversaries, 40 year, 40, 50 year
Right.
anniversary of being in
Celebrate
Bolton.
them.
Yeah. So I think, I'll try to lead it, but I think that's kind of, it'll be like an ongoing thing for
Right.
this year. I think it's gonna take months to do it all, because people only have so much time.
Sure.
I was thinking about maybe sending 5 names to everybody and
Yep.
the information I have, and if you, over the month until the next meeting, if you could fill it out, great. If you do it in a week and have more time, then I'll send you more.
That's great, so you
Yeah.
should send it to each one of the members.
Yeah,
And-
yeah, just so people don't overlap and stuff like that,
But the REIT thing, how are we gonna get to the business about the REITs?
So that's tough, I mean,
Well,
Yeah, I
you
mean.
have to go the same road as you kind of did with the banner, sort of.
Yeah, I think we're just gonna, maybe we should split that up.
What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
About how we're gonna get the businesses to contribute to the REITs. What happened with the banner is, it was great, we had 30-some people, and after we had the banner made, we actually heard from other people that they were upset that they weren't on the banner,
Okay.
but we didn't have a chance to actually reach out to
Okay.
170.
Yeah, and again, this is the
So, but that's
first
gonna
year.
change now due to the thing that we're going through with Verizon. We're not gonna be able to do individual businesses now.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but next year we will be able to.
Right, so, but we should try to at least reach out to as many businesses as we think we could. You could between, I wasn't sure, like $15 to $20
Yeah.
was the price.
Mhm.
Bruce was saying that maybe he could get another price for that. Is that still open to work on, to get another,
Mhm.
purchase if you could get it for
I
lower
just think
than?
it's a couple of different places wholesale, I don't know where you would go, unless you wanted to keep it local with BO or something
Yeah,
like
I
that.
do wanna keep it local.
I think it's important,
Mm.
Okay.
So,
since we're kind of a local organization.
Now, we could, in essence, if people would feel comfortable with this, there's probably 10 or 15 businesses that we know that we probably, the 80-20 rule, maybe we contact the 30 on the banner, and say, would you like to contribute? Because I don't think we're going to be able to we're not going to have an email set up to reach 170. And just say that this is our
Yeah.
maiden voyage year.
Yeah. Well, and like when we get this list, I mean, we could start advertising for it in the summer. Once we get this, if we're gonna do this is an annual thing.
yeah,
What
this year's
one
just
of
tough
our
because,
yeah.
just
it's
because of the
last minute,
situation. Well,
yeah.
it's not that it's last minute, they actually are backed up.
Verizon.
Mhm.
Well, I'm just saying, but if we were thinking about this in the summer,
Yeah.
For sure, we can
Yeah.
start selling them
Yeah.
sponsorships in
Yeah.
September.
Right.
yeah,
I do know that there's
Mhm.
probably a few, I have definitely talked to a few people that said that they wanted to participate in this. So I
Yeah.
think, if they are 15, I think we just have to get the exact number of the wreaths, if it is 100, then it would be 15 times 100, so it would be $1,500.
Mhm.
And then we would decide if we get 10 businesses, it would be 150, or just have like the amount that we say, hey, so-and-so,
Mhm.
would you contribute $150 to?
so these people
I
are
was
business.
I was gonna approach it maybe a different way.
Okay,
I was just thinking that I would call 1 or 2 businesses and ask them to sponsor the whole thing.
Just for this year, because it might be
Mhm.
easier. Yeah.
Mhm. Because if Verizon says you guys can't do it, then we didn't do the publicity, we didn't do. So, and to complicate matters, the guy's on vacation
okay.
So-
for a
That's the
week, so
case.
that's,
Yeah.
so.
I
But they
don't-
said they would try to do it, within 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the dates on the emails, it just seemed like really condensed, and it's gonna be tough, so it makes sense to maybe do that.
Mhm.
I do know that there's, that some people do want to contribute. So as long as people don't feel bad that we can't contact all 170 businesses, and we could say that this is just the first year.
Yeah, I would like to stay away from, if we're gonna do a big sponsor, going with a couple little sponsors and a couple big sponsors. I'd rather just have like 1 or 2 people.
Okay.
I just think that's gonna be easy,
Mhm.
and that way we won't offend anybody, we can still advertise all the businesses in town or something
Yeah.
like that, but I just think that that's,
Do these certificates need to be taken out every year, or can you make it an annual thing?
No, once we get this, we'll be all set.
Okay. that's
And
good.
actually, I don't even know if this is how I want to do it every year, like in terms of, I don't know, like once we get the Verizon, I want to look at what else we can do that we could change like seasonally. So if we had like permanent hardware on the poles, which I think this will allow us to do that, but I'm not really sure. I have to go through the process.
Who puts the flags up?
DPW.
And are there flag holders for each
I
flag?
assume so, yeah.
So how do they have permission to do it?
I don't know.
Because if they're doing it, that would be grandfathered in.
Can't answer that. It's Harold.
Do you want
I
to call?
don't have his information, but if that's the case, we should be grandfathered in to hang stuff on the poles.
Can you ask Harold how he gets,
Sure.
how he, does he have
I'd be
a,
happy to ask Harold.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that would be really
Thank you.
great.
to see whether he
That would
has?
change the whole.
So what's the exact question?
So basically,
If
they,
they use them now, can we just perpetually
Well,
use them?
yeah,
as
I
well?
think
It's
we
kind of
can.
a Bolton
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
thing. Which is a fair point. I think that's a great point. Why
Yeah.
should we
Yeah.
petition again when it's
Yeah.
really the town of Bolton?
Mhm.
Okay, so we'll
I mean,
ask.
Don didn't seem to know anything about it, that's why.
So
Maybe it
I
went
think
through
the
DPW.
flags were raised,
Before.
the monies were raised privately, because I know the White family
Right, I was gonna say that.
was instrumental in raising the money for the flags, and then the DPW is responsible for raising and lowering the flags every
Mhm.
year.
So I wonder what they put the flags on when they put them
I'm
up.
sure there's brackets
Hmm.
they must put them into.
So that's all you're interested in? Is,
Yeah, because if there's brackets on the whole, on the.
Well, the
poles,
problem
we
is the
shouldn't have
flags
to-
are quite a bit higher
Yeah.
than you're gonna
Than
put
6
screens. The
But-
flags are probably what, 10, 12, 18 feet? I mean, they're up there pretty
Mhm.
high.
Could we get the DPW to help with those, or
Help with what?
with help with putting the wreaths up if they want to go that high?
Oh, no, well, yeah, I mean, the DPW has agreed in principle to help us put the wreaths up.
Mhm.
Right.
I didn't think we wanted to
I
go
don't
that
think
high,
they,
no.
no.
Yeah.
I think
But
it
maybe
would go
use
a
the
little crazy.
pole to hang down, I mean, the
But I think Lisa's
flagpole
point
holder.
is that she'd like to do something going forward that's permanent so that we can make it a seasonal thing, which I think is a
Yeah,
great
like
idea.
some kind of brackets, like if we had happy holidays
Mhm.
flags, and then at Halloween we could have happy Halloween flags.
Mhm.
You know, just that you
Mhm.
just change the flags
Mhm.
out or something like that. You know, something permanent to make the town always look.
Hmm.
So why don't I ask
Okay,
Harold
okay. That's fine.
how he was approached originally about putting the flags up and how they put the brackets up and whether or not we could utilize those poles for...
Right, if we have Verizon permission, is that what you want
Correct.
to know?
I think Verizon
Yeah.
has to put their blessing on it, but I agree with Lisa. I don't see what difference it makes if it's a...
Yeah, they just have a process that you have to go
Right.
through.
They want to make sure that at least
We've
you're...
already
Yeah.
gone through the process, we
Right.
might not have to go through
Right,
it
that
again.
would be great.
So.
Now, they may
which could
have
totally change the game if that was the case.
Yeah,
an issue with putting multiple brackets on there because they still have to utilize these poles. So I don't know. That might be something that we have to
Mhm.
look into. Whereas if they say, hey, listen, you've got one, that's all you're allotted, we might feel that the
Mhm.
one that's there now is too high.
yeah,
And obviously we want to leave the flags the way they are.
That's right.
Yeah, the wreaths are not gonna have permanent hardware this year.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. But
Yeah.
going forward, I think it's a great idea to be able to, you
Yeah.
know, cross functionality
I'm
of
just
different
like-
things.
yeah.
You know, nerve wracking, when it depends on them. You know, if we go and we out and we sell like 100 wreaths to all different businesses and then we turn around and say,
Right.
we can't put them up till December 20th, then,
Or
Which
they
is a
say, hey, you
possibility.
can only use 20 poles.
Right.
And you've got, well, you just have to put multiple wreaths
Yeah.
on poles, but.
that's true too, so.
So why don't I find out how they went about getting the original flags on there, what process they went through, whether or not there's any stipulation as to whether there can only be one holder, and we'll just go from
Okay,
there.
that would be great.
But I think the DPW is definitely amenable to hanging whatever we want within reason
That's
on
great.
the poles.
That's really great.
So,
Okay, so the next item, so we just finished talking about the business list and welcome letters, and basically you're going to, basically the EDC is gonna help with chunks of businesses that you will
Yeah,
distribute. You get
yeah.
whatever information you need everybody to get,
Yeah.
everybody will help you.
So do you think we need a database on the website? Do you wanna do it on the website?
Well, I was just gonna do it in Excel. I don't know what kind of technical things you can do with
You
that.
can do that. You
Yeah.
could create a database and
Yeah.
have, instead of it being like static and we change it, it could be
Yeah.
like interactive.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of thinking what I was gonna do is more like our personal notes. I'm not sure it's like everything you want to pump right on the website, but you know.
Well, we could pick and choose what we want to
Yeah.
pump on the website,
Yeah,
in the database. It just might save, well, we can export it anyway, so if we do an Excel, we can just export it into a database anyway.
yeah. So I think maybe over the next week or two, I should kind of send you what I have, and then maybe you can massage it and
Yeah, I
how it
think
would
one
fit
thing
better.
we should do is just make the categories very clear.
Yeah,
So really decide on the categories
Yeah.
first, make sure we're not leaving anything out, because
yeah,
that's one thing, if we can make the categories nice and
Yeah.
clear, it'll be easier to search on the website. And we can even have like join dates and stuff like that, so that we could sort and look and stuff like that.
yeah. So I mean,
You
I
know,
was
too.
I was thinking just for the context, but also if we could categorize it and put it on the website. So
Yeah.
maybe we could work on that somehow.
Maybe one of the questions we ask them when we call is, do you want to be on our website?
Well, definitely. That was one thing I was gonna say is somebody might be like leave me alone. I'm not really
Yeah.
interested.
Mhm.
If it's just like one person, I don't know, or something,
Yeah.
or I don't know. I mean, they might not want to give us their email. They might not want us to
Mhm.
contact them, or so that's just one thing we have to. The notes kind of what do you do? Would you like EDC's help? If you have an event, would you want us to post it on
Right.
our Facebook page and stuff like that?
And we should reach out to people too and ask them, do they want to be administrators? Like, so we could have, like Bruce could post on our page, like anybody who's basically got a business could post stuff within
On the
reason.
Facebook page?
Yeah,
You want like 100? No, I'm not that big of
Yeah.
100 people.
as long as I know who they
You don't
are.
want some type of filter or something?
No, not really, because I know who they are when they post.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, that might be a good way of getting everyone's information on there, because we don't know what everybody's information is.
Yeah.
But if Bruce has an event coming up, he's thinking about where can I post this, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess.
I don't know, I know there is room for, so someone could post something on there, but I think we'd monitor well enough that it wouldn't be anything too crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if you want like, daily menus up there, if you just want major events, I mean, but you don't want it also to be us kind of picking and choosing things too as we go,
Mhm.
so. Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility,
Okay, so we will definitely will work on that.
yeah.
Okay, the next item we have is just the status of the ribbon cuttings.
Yeah, we don't really have anything scheduled, I know we were talking about the Delta thing.
Well, Terry
Yeah.
and Rick Freeman, right?
Yeah, did they I don't even know if they ended up doing anything.
Were we supposed to
haven't-
contact them?
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
reach out to him, but I never heard back from him.
Yeah.
so
Okay.
reach
And
out to
then
him
I
again.
do have to follow through with Delta. I would like to try to coordinate something with Delta and the Neshoba Valley Chamber of Commerce. I don't know whether we could coordinate something like that.
It's a
Do
great idea.
tour. Yeah, so she said that she would be willing to help us.
Okay.
I think I had told you
Yeah, she's
that.
really, really good at that.
Yeah.
So does Delta have a planned event already?
I don't know, I need to
Yeah.
contact Ray.
Yeah, I know they're like done with their, I really would like to see that
Yeah.
I
inside.
would love to.
Yeah, I will, I'll get
Do
that.
they have a, like a venue to hold a large group of people?
I have no idea.
I don't know,
I
okay.
would assume they do.
Yeah, I would,
When that
yeah,
means
some type
space.
of conference area.
Yeah, maybe, a
Because
couple
that
of
would
us,
be ideal if they'd be
Mhm.
willing.
maybe a
Talk
couple
to
of us
Ray.
need to go and check out the
Yeah.
facility and discuss if they just want a ribbon cutting or if they want
Sure.
the Neshoba Valley, the NVCC involved, or if they would like to have an event,
I will follow up with Ray.
Yeah.
Okay, so last item was the review, the planning board.
Yeah.
Do you want me to bring them up or? you think-
Well, actually, I found some copies over there,
Okay.
so pretty much the overlay, the subcommittee has, the two main sections that they're focusing on is the Kane property and Fridas, that's what it's called, right?
Mhm.
So for instance, on the Kane property, they still haven't really talked to the Kanes yet. So they need to get, but this is kind of an example of what an overlay would do. So the current zoning in the Kane property, land end where they can split it up into two.
Okay, so show us, where's 117?
This is 117
Okay.
Main Street, and this is 495.
Is that the whole Kane parcel?
So this is the whole Kane
And is
parcel.
that the road?
These,
What's
they,
this?
this is 117 here,
Right, but what's this?
just water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is the,
Oh, there's 85, okay. that's
yeah,
what it
right,
is.
so this is the Country Carbon and stuff, they don't
Okay.
own that.
That's the gas station.
The gas station Country
Okay.
Carbon, they don't own that. So in the current zoning, this is kind of what they could
And
do.
this is that residential or is that commercial?
This is, yeah, this is zoned residential right now. This
Okay.
is zoned residential.
Right,
If you remember, 2 years ago, they wanted to change this,
to be bigger.
To commercial.
Exactly, yeah.
but with the current zoning, what could be done? The parking is required to be in the front. You can only have one building per zone. So this is assuming that I guess they have enough frontage where they can break it into two.
Okay,
So they have to get approval for that, but they could do this.
With the current zoning today?
With the current
Right,
zoning,
Nothing changes?
nothing changes.
Right.
So
unless they try to get
And where's
rezoned
country
again.
covered?
it's this one.
Okay, so really, the whole issue, the whole thing is the area before you even get to
Yeah.
country covered?
Yeah, when you come off the highway, you just see woods.
Okay.
There's that little house here,
Mhm.
that little ranch house. I don't know if it's the Canes that own it or they rent it out.
Yeah, they own that house right there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so-
But you pull up and you just see woods. You would pull up off the highway and see this. A
Okay.
big parking lot,
Mhm.
kind of with lights. Nobody wants to see that.
Given our current zoning today?
Given our current zoning, nobody wants to see that. And this kind of leads to kind of a strip mall type.
Yes.
So what do you say, we'd rather have people drive?
Okay, wait.
So I have, so this is what it would look like in the current zoning. As you can see the parking.
Okay.
And this, I have another copy if you want to, Heather, if you want to see that over there. So, with the overlay, however, this is what had a possibility of looking like. I'll just show you the front. This is kind of like a visual of the front with the buildings up front, you know, how they have kind of, like in Concord, and I think Wayland has, you know, so they have whatever our building
Yeah,
restrictions, yeah.
Yeah.
So part of it would be, you can split up into multiple buildings, you could put the parking in the back, and a residential part would be.
Component.
And the question is, well, is it mandatory or not? I want to make it mandatory, because that was one of the major problems at town meeting was they want housing to be mandatory. So, the coverage would have to change.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be 40B housing.
No.
It just has to be housing,
Housing.
right?
So, I mean, this is kind of looking at little townhouse condos type
Right.
things. And so the overlay would take this business section and this residential section and make it the whole overlay,
And turn it into like mixed use.
mixed use, exactly. So you'd come in and there'd be, you're trying to create a village.
Mm-hmm.
So there would be maybe, you know, a coffee shop, a dry cleaner, a family-run restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I don't know, whatever could fit into these, you know, smaller kind of buildings with the residential as kind of mandatory. So you create sort of a village and, you know, walking paths, picnic table, maybe a playground or something, kind of an area where you can go up, and if you can live there, you can walk down to these, or you can park in here, and there's a couple different businesses. Less of this kind of strip mall parking in the front field, where when you drive by, you're gonna see just the storefronts.
Mm-hmm.
So Eric, I have a question for you. So if the planning board is reviewing this, does one ever have to talk to a property owner and say, hey, property owner, we're thinking about
Yeah.
rezoning your property? Isn't that kind of illegal?
Well,
I'm just curious.
so they're putting an overlay on it.
Mhm.
So if, even after they did the overlay, they could still build this.
Yeah, so this would be giving them flexibility.
Flexibility, exactly.
So saying that, hey, your property is zoned as, but don't you still have
Yeah.
to go back?
So the overlay committee came in front of the planning board last meeting, and that was one of the things that were discussed.
Okay.
Hey, have you talked to the Canes? And no, they haven't talked to the Canes yet. So they wanna, the overlay committee is kind of saying, what would pass in town meeting?
Uh-huh.
what would the town approve and what would we want, what would we like to see?
Mhm.
They do have to go speak to the Canes and be like, hey, this is what we're thinking. If the
Yeah.
Canes like, we would never do that,
Yeah,
you know, go away, then it's
Yeah.
like, what's the point? But, you know, we could present to them, hey, look, this is something,
yeah,
maybe even the overlay committee finds a developer that would want to do something like this and match them up with the Canes. So that's kind of what they're trying to do. And there were only a couple people that, I think it was discussed at the selectmen's meeting, that, after the EDC, I stuck around.
mhm,
And I know Dave Lindsay was there, and I think Mr. Bishop, who lives on Main Street,
mhm.
I forget. The kind of sense I got from them was, and from the town meeting is,
Mr. Bing?
huh? No, it was Bishop was his
Oh, okay.
last name. But anyway, so the kind of general feel of the town meeting was, you're asking us to change these zones, we don't know what's gonna go in there. It's so global, you know, all these different areas, whereas now we're focusing on this one spot. This is what the overlay will do for this one spot, and this is what it will look like, and maybe even we have some developer interested in it. You know, if there's a vision of what it would be,
Mhm,
and it was mixed use mandatory,
mhm.
and it was a much clearer picture versus, hey, you know, we're gonna change all this
Right.
to commercial, and who knows, you know, they say
Right.
they're gonna do this, but who knows what it's
Right.
gonna be.
Mhm.
So what did the Frida's property look like?
So I have the freedom.
So they kind of match, like the Fridas would kind of look a little bit like that would be the goal to kind of have the.
Yeah, so this is the same thing. Well, this is the freeze. So let's see. So here's 117.
Mhm.
Here's Sugar Road.
Mhm.
This is where they were talking about putting housing back here, 40B and stuff
Yes.
like that.
Mhm.
And this is currently where I think Clint Savings Bank and stuff is.
Mhm.
So, so pretty much you drive in, you'd have your multiple small buildings. They're talking about some housing here. This is kind of, I think this is a little more conceptual than the other one, because I heard them talking about, you know, where the wetlands and stuff are, but, I mean, this is an idea of what it could be with the overlay.
Okay.
So you can see that there's housing, you know, housing, this is the housing that they were already talking about, building all over here, but, you know, breaking this up, allowing the multiple buildings and stuff, so this is just another idea of what that property could look like.
Mhm. So they're hoping to get something together to take to town meeting in May.
Yeah, and it sounds like it might be focused more on the cane, because this is a little more
Oh, really?
conceptual. I think the cane one's a little bit further along, because I think there's some issues with wetlands and stuff and how it would work out, but
So when people vote on that, do they vote by just who's at town meeting? Is that how they did it last time?
Right, and it's
So the people in the meeting vote?
And is it
Yeah.
2/3 majority?
it's 2/3 for the overlay. And the thing with town meeting is only a few hundred people show up. So if you get a very interested group that doesn't want something, it'll get voted down. So that's why on this overlay committee, there is people who voted down the last overlay on it
Oh, wow.
and saying, this is what we would agree on. We would agree on this, you know, well, so you mentioned it before, the salt box was included, that kind of really hurt it.
Mhm.
And it was all four corners. So the overlay, the subcommittee has been really focusing on what would the overlay do to this specific area? And what would,
Yeah, I think people are just mostly worried about big box stores
Yeah.
coming in. That seemed to be
Yeah.
the big, and if it,
Mhm.
the Canes got that zoning,
Yeah.
that's what would happen. I mean, would have
Yeah.
been a Market Basket or something like that.
Yeah, that's what they
you
were
know,
looking for.
CVS. Whereas with this, you know,
because there was no mixed use required for
Right.
the last overlay.
But with these smaller mixed use, you couldn't really put big box in there.
No,
You could possibly put anchor chain stores that are.
yeah, maybe.
Which would be fine, because you have to have those to bring people in.
Right, you have to bring something to attract.
Yeah, so.
So that's kind of the
Yeah,
general
small
feel of it.
scale.
There is a working, I don't know if it's in this package, probably not, the MAPC, I forget what it stands
Yeah.
for, but they have marked up the last overlay from 2 years ago
Okay,
to be this.
I
You
think
know,
it's great that
to
they're
force-
doing this.
And you'd have to increase to 8 or 10%, you know, for the housing.
Footprint.
For the housing. For the business, they were still showing, I could be wrong about this, but they were still just showing 8 smaller buildings broken up.
Mhm.
But for how, you know, they have to allow like a group kind of housing kind of permit,
So
but
how many houses do you think would be in the Did they talk about that?
Well,
And then
so
how many
it's-
would be in that 40B plus the 70 we're getting in Century Mill? That's
This
a
is
lot of new
very
residents and a
free.
lot of business tax base.
Mhm. And
And not many services for all
the,
those people.
and the houses in Century Mill are pretty large.
So if
and
you
I don't think that
but if
these
you get
are
like
large
70,
homes.
so there's supposed to be 70 in there or something?
I don't know the exact amount, but I know that they're rather large.
So if you get on
homes.
average like 3 kids a house
Hmm.
times 70, that's like 200 and some new
Yeah.
kids in the school system.
Yeah,
And that's all residential, there's no businesses to,
right, if it's just houses.
that's all it is, yeah.
Yeah. So there's this little sheet here. I mean, I'm not going to read through it all, but they were saying in this zone 3, without it being zoned, it could be single-family houses, which I think we saw that before. Where is it? Oh, right. It could be. Oh, not including. Let me just read. Oh, 7 single-family dwellings. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it would be 30,000 square feet of office space, you know, between those two.
Mhm.
Then if you, with the overlay, you can have, it says 80 units of housing. And it says what? 10 two-story buildings.
You get no kids.
Right, it would be more, it would be geared more towards
Young professionals.
young
yeah.
professionals or people without kids.
Retired, yeah.
Mhm.
Which is kind of good, because it
Right, yeah,
reduces
okay.
People
school.
that want to sell their large homes
Well,
can still
exactly.
stay in Bolton.
Mhm.
That was another
I
focus
mean,
too.
Because you really can't
Yeah.
do that here.
Yeah, like when people are 50 or, you know, mid-50s.
When they're old.
I said
Is that what you
mid-50s.
said?
I said
just said that?
mid-50s.
Still old?
When your kids are in college and,
Going down. Are you defining people here?
and you have, a huge house you don't want to maintain anymore.
Dude, you need to stop.
No, but that
No,
seems
there's,
that's
there's no option
Yeah.
for that
Yeah.
demographic.
Yeah.
in
The
Bolton.
option is to
And
move
those
to a
people,
bigger town.
and
like
those
Marlboro
people,
or-
and those people exist.
They exist.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and a lot of those people think, why, where do you go?
Yeah.
If you want to give up your home
Yeah.
because your
Right.
kids are in college and you're 50 and
Yeah.
you're old.
Yeah. I never said old. I think I said mid-50s. Huh?
No, a lot of people think about
Mid-50s is
scaling down.
No, I
differently,
used to
you
find it
know?
myself.
Yeah.
So-
There's that gap between your kids are all gone and moving into assisted living, which is maybe a 20-year gap.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even for me, 2 of my kids
Yeah.
will be gone long before my other 2.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to downsize but stay in the school system
Yeah,
or
right.
something like that,
I think that actually opens up a really nice option for
Mhm.
people.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
You know what's very hard to watch though? I don't know if you guys have been over to Hudson a lot lately, but there's so many new businesses going in there.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you feel bad that we're not getting any of those businesses
Yeah.
here.
You're talking about Main Street?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
just getting so many little businesses.
Well, I can tell you that hasn't been easy, and I think that this actually has a lot of potential.
This has huge potential, and if you look at, granted, it's a computer-generated.
You're right, Hudson worked hard on that.
What's that?
No, they're opening like an ice cream place. They opened a second restaurant from Cooley's. They opened a rail trail. They're opening a martini bar.
But they worked hard on that.
I mean, so when you come off the highway, this is what you're gonna see, kind of colonial style village. And you're not gonna see any cars or any like a big flooded parking lot of lights. You're gonna see these colonial style buildings, and you can pull in, and there's townhouses and stuff back there, and so it's kind of exactly what the people at town meeting were asking
Yeah.
for.
Mhm.
Whether the Keens want it and a developer will
Yeah.
do it and the financials all works out, and the underlying commercial spot with the residential zone will still be there. They could do something today with that if they
Yeah.
wanted. They could do what we showed. I don't know what it is. They could do this today.
And right now, nothing like that would pass a town meeting, right? Would
Well,
they-
I mean,
would
it
they-
passes.
no, they can
It's
do
zoned.
that.
They can do
Yeah,
it.
they
So
Yeah.
they could have a 30,000-foot store come
Yeah.
in without having to
It's
come
true.
to town meeting? Is that true?
It passes the zones, yeah. Well, so I think the planning board has to give permits to the business, so you have to
Yeah.
meet their use.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be whatever's against the use table,
Yeah.
but
Discotheque.
it can't be a discotheque or a
Really?
roller rink or something, yeah. Yeah. Where, so as long as it meets the use,
Roller yoga.
That was the wording that was,
Yeah.
right.
as long as it meets the use,
Can
That would
they
be
do a
good for
drive-through if
55-year-olds
they're off the highway?
Exactly.
I don't think this drive-through's allowed.
If they have their own separate parking lot and
Well-
they
No
said,
drive-through in Bolton except for Clinton Savings
Well,
Bank.
I was just gonna, there is, I saw on the
I
recent,
wonder-
on a
they
recent
have a way
planning board,
around it.
one of those 3 houses, right next to 495 on 117,
Mhm.
Across from Freitas's, yeah.
across from Frida's, they wanna buy one of the, maybe the middle one?
Yeah,
Were you at that meeting?
no.
They wanna buy, I think, the middle house
Mhm.
and have a drive-through Clinton Savings Bank there.
Yeah, that's a good deal if you want to
Yeah.
move, yeah.
They wanna move there and
so then
then,
would that one be grandfathered in, I wonder?
yeah, so I don't know all that right now.
I'm just wondering because they're not, because they're, if they put the buildings way back like that, if a drive-through would be different because it's not on the highway, it would be in the parking lot.
Well, we don't have the zoning for a drive-through. We can't have fast food and we can't have drive-through fast food.
Yeah,
So I know you can't have those two. And I think for some reason Clinton Savings Bank is allowed to have a drive-through. But I would have to get the plan,
it might be grandfathered in. I don't know how long they've been there. You know, so,
Okay, this is really encouraging.
yeah,
I think that could do a lot for bringing
yeah.
some momentum.
And so, I mean,
And still keeping a very
Yeah.
rural charm. And it's good that that a lot of people who were against the overlay are involved in
Yeah.
planning it. That's very good.
yeah, 'cause I mean, because this is what they, you know, it was too global and not enough, I don't want to say restrictions, but it
Yeah.
wasn't defined enough. So that's what the focus of that group was.
So the state did this.
Yeah. Well, we have like a grant with them,
Okay.
which is actually up in December. So Cynthia Wall is her name, who's working with us. She marked up the overlay bylaw
Mm-hmm.
with, to look like this, or this one. And so at the next meeting, the overlay meeting, you know, they're gonna go through it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they hope to have something, I think, for this property, as long as they talk to the king, well, they can, I don't know what the rule is. I know Doug Story brought it up at the planning board. You should
Mhm.
probably talk to them,
Mm-hmm.
like you just said, but they don't have to do it. You know, it's just giving them the opportunity to, hey, you have this residential in the back,
Mhm.
which is kind of landlocked,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you put a business up there, you know.
Well, we
Combine-
kind of encourage them to do something more like what we want than what they only have the option to
That's
do.
exactly the point of the overlay.
Mhm,
Giving them more flexibility so we can get something we want.
mhm.
Ones.
Yeah, the town wants, not EDC,
Yeah.
the town.
Okay, that's great, Eric. That's great.
And the other thing kind of being discussed right now in town is the slot parlor and how it would affect, how it would affect us for traffic and stuff.
Where would it be?
It's in
Lancaster.
Lancaster.
Yeah.
So there's a big concern about traffic.
Okay, it's Lemonster.
It's Leominster.
It's
Leominster,
Leominster.
sorry. It's Leominster, but it's right on the Lancaster line. So right before you get to Walmart,
It's
there's
there?
Jungle Road,
Okay.
and it's kind of parallel with 190. So
Okay.
you go right past 190,
Mhm.
so it's on the Leominster side of 190. It was gonna be right there. It's one of 3 potential spots.
Okay.
And right now, Bolton, they didn't consider us a surrounding town,
Mhm.
or there's categories of surrounding towns.
Mhm.
Lancaster was the high impact surrounding town, so they had some special deal.
Mhm.
But everybody else, Bolton, Lunenburg, all the other towns, are considered secondary impact.
Mhm.
So I
This
think,
is a connector between.
But I think
495
Don
and
got us on the list.
so, you know, both, pretty much we denied that, because what that deal is, 5,000 a year, you know, and you're done. But, I mean, we are heavily impacted, because if you do like a Google Maps or directions, every single way you come, what they were saying, the casino people, I forget what the name is, but they were saying that, oh, people would go up to Route 2 and go back down 90, or go down 290, but every single spot you Google Maps from directions sends you down 117.
Yeah.
So it's going to be higher traffic,
Mhm.
potentially drunk driving coming
It is the
back.
fastest way to get there.
Yeah,
pretty much.
potentially drunk driving coming back 3 in the morning. So there's probably going to be more impact on our police and stuff. So there's definitely a lot of impact to Bolton. But, I mean, speaking for businesses, and if we could get something like, there will be more people who are, you know, you know,
At 3 in the morning.
at 3 in the morning. Well, no, but even during the
Can't go through
day.
the drive-through that we can't have.
No, but even during the day,
The fast food
if we
can't
had,
have.
say, a coffee shop or something in one of these, or, you know, there will be more people.
No, just more people in
I
general.
think there's
Yeah.
enough traffic
There is
count
enough,
on
yeah.
117 where
Yeah.
I think that you could
Yeah.
make the argument that if it's there, that stop now.
But
I
I-
think it's gonna have a huge impact on Bolton, because
Yeah.
I agree that people are gonna come right up 495,
Yeah.
north and south.
I mean,
so
there's
I
definitely
think
gonna be more
it's
traffic.
definitely worth
we think 117 is a
taking
nightmare
a second
now.
look. I am not, I am not a proponent of
Yeah.
it, and I'm not against casinos
Yeah,
in theory, but
yeah.
just to put slot machines, just randomly put slot machines so people can go get a fix of gambling
Yeah.
is interesting.
Well, it's done. It's gonna be somewhere.
Yeah, right, and
And there's
right.
nothing we can
It's
do
not
about
gonna
it.
be a full casino, it's just,
It's gonna be, so there's 3 full casinos and 1 slot parlor. That's gonna be the slot parlor. From what I heard, there's gonna be, what did I say, like 12, the plan for this one was like 12,000 slot machines,
1,000?
1,200, sorry.
Okay.
1,200 slot machines and 3 restaurants, which actually I wouldn't mind a couple more restaurants in
Yeah.
this area.
Mhm.
I want them here. Not
But,
far.
well, you know, so it's on the, it's in Leominster. Leominster's getting 3.75 million to do.
Yeah, I think it makes sense for them, because
Yeah.
they're gonna benefit. We're just
Yeah.
gonna pick up all the.
You know, I was looking at it on the map. We actually,
Wait, but they haven't approved it yet.
No, no,
It's-
no,
it's
I
not a
understand
done
that.
deal for
Yeah,
them.
no,
What I'm
it's not-
suggesting is,
that's the numbers.
hypothetically, if it's a done deal,
Yeah,
we're gonna get the
Well,
short.
it
end
passed,
there.
it passed town, the initial.
Yeah, it was voted
It
in.
voted in Leominster.
but don't, like, but it's not them,
But it's-
Leominster doesn't decide though.
No, but
No,
then-
it has to be
people have
then
to keep
proven.
building it,
Yeah.
So they
Right.
approved that.
They approved that. It's
A
one
number
of,
sites.
it's one of 3 sites, potentially.
Isn't this part of the dog track? Is this
Right,
part of the
the
plan?
Rainham is a
Yeah.
potential,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know, yeah, so it's here, Rainham, and there was one other one. Potential spot for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting discussion.
I mean, it would definitely bring,
I'm definitely one of those,
Yeah.
for this particular issue, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I would be in someone else's town. Don't put it close to me.
yeah.
You know, I don't mind
Yeah.
driving an hour.
I think,
Oh,
was it New Bedford, was that the other place that we're thinking about putting?
Well, they were talking maybe a full, well, I grew up in New Bedford, so I know where they were talking. I'd be kind of scared to leave a casino with money in New Bedford, that's for sure. But anyway, but it's just something that will impact the town, for sure. I mean, if it goes in there.
All I could say is that I'm worried about like these little things, you know.
Yeah, it's 2 towns over, so it's not like we could do anything about it. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, we're the only route to get there.
Yeah.
And so the selectmen actually voted to not accept the offer of 5,000 a year. And they're going to, I think, an appeals, Massachusetts appeals thing, to say, we're gonna be heavily impacted, and they
Well, look
want,
at the traffic count now.
yeah.
I mean, you know, get on 117 at 5 o'clock at night. I mean, you added a bunch of more cars on a Friday going to the
Yeah.
slot parlors.
Yeah,
It's gonna take me an hour and a half. to
well,
get home.
and what about all these like crazy, like all
And
these
it's a public
intersections? There's
safety issue too,
There's awful
because
intersections on 117.
candidly, the only way the fire department gets anywhere is on 117.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, I'm obviously opposed to these things. I think it's ridiculous. I think that it's a short-term benefit for a long-term, detriment. Personally, that's how I feel. But
so they're appealing it to try to get more money. Lancaster's current deal is,
I don't think you can get enough money, personally.
yeah, well, I'm just saying, Lancaster's
Unless
deal
they pay the
right now
streets
is,
in
I
full.
think, like 250,000 up front to fix some intersections and 35,000 a year. So maybe Bolton's gonna ask for closer to 35,000 a year versus the 5. There's nothing we can, it's not
Well,
like
I
we have
agree
a
with
road.
you. There's,
So
we
who has
don't.
to pay that money?
The casino,
Yeah.
Wow, they make that much money, they
Oh,
make
yeah.
in town, so.
yeah.
Have you been down to the ones down in Connecticut? It's
Mhm.
like this, Wizard of Oz type experience.
In Oceans, I mean Atlantic City, so it was there. Someone's, oh, you
It's a
did.
classic example of an area that's just gotten worse, not
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, my only point in bringing it up is there will be more traffic on the road and potentially less commuter to work and come home. Just there might be
Brand?
Well, not even that. There might be more businesses interested in getting to 117 because of that extra traffic. So, whether it's
yeah.
good or bad, it's going to impact.
I just don't see Saturdays and Sundays become like Monday through Friday
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
amount of traffic on
Well, and
117.
they were talking about having an event, like a state, concert event thing. So I don't know how big, how many seats will be, but
Perfect, great.
yeah. So like
Hardly way.
well, that's what I'm
Looking
saying.
forward to
What
it.
just what you're
Yeah.
saying. There could be traffic on a Saturday to get
that much
to.
more appealing every day to me.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's really funny, it just shows you that.
Well, think about the people there.
You can fight,
Exactly, and that's when we hit a year. It's like, oh my God, it's a
but you can
crazy.
fight everything on your own little street corner, but sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes it's the
Right.
3 street corners down that really make a more, a more impact.
Well, before we moved to Bolton, we looked at a couple of houses in Lancaster on Brockelman Road, which I don't know if you know what that is. That's right before you get to 190. You take a left
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
down there, and it kind of leads into Sterling Country Club Road. I was looking at those houses that we were looking at, and the was right on the other side of the
Yeah.
highway.
Right.
Like, so I think the Lancaster people are heavily,
Yeah, you go
impacted.
from like country rural to,
yeah,
but Connecticut's like that too though.
yeah.
Like where they have those casinos.
Yeah,
Oh, it's crazy.
Is that native?
Show up and it's
land or-
yes, it's.
but not the surrounding towns, not the actual, casino
Mhm.
is on, Native American, but
Okay.
there's surrounding towns to that.
So
But anyway, so thank you very much. I think we can officially adjourn our meeting, right?
Awesome.
Right, do we have a second? Do we have a second?
second.
Okay, so we, thank you very much for coming and successful, I think this is our earliest dismissal, so thank you very much. We're adjourned.
Dismissal.
So.
Were we off? or-
Nope.
No, not yet.
Oh, there we go.
That's why I brought that up. Not
So let's talk
necessarily.
a little bit about off camera, the overlay, because
Yeah.
I know the Canes extremely well. Now, if they go to do